Chicago, Tia Ewing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today in support of True Stars Connecting Young Creators fundraiser. My first question for you today is, why is it important to have diversity in the newsroom and in media?
Oh man, that is a full question.
It is a full question.
It's so many reasons why. I guess the simplest one is that you need diverse thinkers. Everybody can't think the same. Everybody shouldn't think the same. I think it's dangerous in a time like this to have everybody thinking the same. And so you need people that are going to champion for everybody. And so everybody is inclusion, right? Everybody is women, everybody is men, everybody is the LGBTQ community, the African American community, the Asian community, the Hispanic community. So that could just keep going, right? And so if you don't have those people at the table, conversations about what those groups need, what those groups are, what they're about, then you have people that don't understand anything about those groups making decisions for those groups or making decisions based on those groups. So that's the simplest answer of why you would need diversity, because in a newsroom, you cover so many different topics and you need people that are not just diverse in visually what they look like, because we could all look alike and not think anything alike. You need people that also think differently as well. Otherwise, many of the stories will be one-sided. And I'm sure you could think of several news agencies right now that oftentimes depict certain groups certain ways. And if you go and you turn on the channel, it's pretty obvious when you see visually who's representing or who's represented at said place, everybody kind of looks the same. Everybody kind of thinks the same. And so I think that's just dangerous.
I agree. On the topic of like diverse thinking and diversity and like not only physical, but in mind, how do you think you bring your unique perspective to your job as a reporter?
I think I'm diverse in a lot of ways, obviously visually speaking. I am a Black woman, but it's not just that, because being in this business for how long, as long as I have, which isn't super long, but I've been in this business since 2008, I've run into a lot of people that visually they look diverse, but mentally they lack diverse thinking. And so I think I bring a lot of different perspectives. I am fortunate enough, and I say fortunate, some people think it's a an unfortunate thing, but I think I'm fortunate enough to have lived, I think it was 6 or 7 neighborhoods in Chicago. All of those neighborhoods were very different. Some of them were poverty stricken, some of them were not, some of them were well-to-do. And so I thank God for those experiences, because it made me open my eyes to how people think, how different people live. So that's already diverse to begin with. How many people do you know that when you meet them, they can say, I grew up in 7 different neighborhoods? Not many. And so I got to see things pretty early on. I bring diversity by way of, anybody that knows me would say that I'm straight up. Sometimes that's to my own detriment, because I don't feel the need to filter myself. I feel like I am who I am, and if you don't like it, you're the person with the problem. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. And so I think that's a beautiful thing, not to feel like you have to censor yourself because of where you work, or censor yourself because of what you do. Like, I live in my truth every day. So if I feel like something is not okay, I don't just say it. I wouldn't just say it to you. If I'm at the news station and I saw something that was questionable to me, I don't just keep that to myself and be like, oh, it's questionable. I let it be known that it's questionable. So what you see with me, how I am, is what it is in front of the camera, is what it is off the camera, is what it is all day long. So I think that's the diversity that I bring. And I also think that being an intelligent, well-lived, well-traveled, but especially well-lived Black woman is very important. And what I mean by that is, I know what it's like to live in poverty, and I know what it's like not to live in poverty. And I think you need, in this day and age, you need people that understand their roots, because so many people have forgotten where the hell they came from. Right? Like that. So many people.
I've seen it. I just want to backtrack a little bit to, you were talking about like the things that you've seen as means of like your job. Do you think you would have gotten a different perspective on all of the things that you've experienced if you weren't a reporter?
Okay, how can I say this? You know, I don't live in the hood anymore, okay? But I got family members that live there. I used to live there. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to hear gunshots. I know what it's like to be sitting at the kitchen table and hear somebody break into your place. I've been there as a child. We lived that. And so I think that because I present myself a certain way, people feel very comfortable around me. So I have experienced just about everything you can imagine. I've heard conversations that my intolerant ears shouldn't have heard. I've heard people have said things that I think that they thought, oh, okay, well, Tia doesn't live there, so that's not going to impact her if I say that. And that's been throughout my career. You know, I've experienced those things. So yeah, I think I've experienced some things that I wouldn't have experienced as a reporter, good and bad. Events that I ever went to was a Beyonce and Jay-Z concert that I covered, working in the news media. I got to interview, at the time, Vice President Joe Biden. I don't know, it's hard for me to really answer that question because, like, one thing I believe in is being grounded. And so, like, I see myself, when I look in the mirror, I just see myself as Tia from the block. You know, like, I'm just Tia from the block. It's nothing special. I guess apply it myself so I wouldn't become a statistic. But other than that, it's nothing special about me that you couldn't do if you didn't want to do it. Or anybody else that watches this. Like, if they really want to go for it and become a news reporter, a news anchor, an investigative reporter, there's nothing holding you back but you.
I love that answer. Why do you think TrueStar is such a necessary and important program for today's youth?
I think it's important to have programs like this because it makes you think about your future. It brings you people that you normally may not have access to. Like, when would you meet me? Like, we're in a COVID world now too. So it's like, when will we sit down and meet? Like, it probably wouldn't happen considering, you know, the times that we're living in right now. So I think TrueStar brings you the experience front and center, and it's up to you to make a decision of, you know, what you're going to allow your life to look like. But they're exposing you early. Like, nobody exposed me to journalism early, especially not in high school, especially not freshman year of college. None of that. I didn't get exposed into TV until I was already about to graduate, and I was like, oh, this thing's kind of cool. So, I mean, a program like this is, I mean, there's no price tag you can even put on a program like this because they're bringing you people, many who look like you, who can tell you the truth about their experiences, because no matter what America tries to say, some of us live completely different and some of us are challenged and treated differently based on what we look like, based on what our skin tone turned out to be. And I have no doubt in the years that I've been a journalist experienced that in the past, for sure. So TrueStar, I think if you guys don't take advantage of this opportunity, you guys and girls, if you don't take advantage of this opportunity, I don't know when you'd be able to get an opportunity like this again, truly. It may never come around again. So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So take advantage of it.
I am. Not long ago, you had a TrueStar student as an intern. What sort of tasks did you have her do to make sure that she got real world job experience?
Well, first of all, she had to come out with me at the time that she interned with me. I worked 3 o'clock in the morning. So she was working at 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's already showing you, I don't know too many people that will wake up so if I had to be at work at 3 o'clock in the morning and she had to be up as well, that means that she had to get up, get dressed, you know, be prepared for the day, maybe make a little light breakfast, bring some snacks. That means she was getting up at 2 o'clock, 2:15. So my intern already I have respect for. I have respect for anybody who is like, you know what, I want this bad enough that I'm willing to put in just as much work as you. So one of the things that she did, which was real life application, that I wanted to make sure she understood, was writing on a deadline. Because in this job, especially if you're starting out as a reporter or an anchor, you have to write on a deadline or be quick on your feet. So any story I did, she was given the task to do and do it in front of a camera. So she would have to write it, tell me what it was. That's okay. That's not so good. And then sometimes it was great. And then she would get in front of the camera and deliver it. So she walked away with a real life resume reel that she could take and get a job. But in addition to that, you know, I think a lot of things school does not teach you. School doesn't teach you about negotiating your contract. It doesn't teach you about what that contract should look like. It doesn't teach you, I mean, so many things that you encounter when you're, in the journalism field. School does not teach you that. You could go to graduate school, they don't teach you that. I don't know anybody that ever had a class about negotiating their contract or understanding what the contract should look like or what shouldn't be in the contract. So we talked about those things. Understanding, where you want to go next. How do you get there? Because you might be a reporter, but does that mean that's where you want to stay? You got that job, so then what do you do next? So we talked about those things. One thing that we really talked about that I think is really important with young folks is y'all like to, I don't know if you're trying to solicit or trying to do it for likes. I don't know if you're really trying to be about that fashion Nova life. I don't know what it is, but a lot of young people think it's cool to be on their social media, tooting it back for the gram. And so I had to have that conversation, which I have with every intern I've ever had, even male interns. Certain posts on social media, unless you got the job, you don't want to do that. Okay.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with the last question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to young creators like me who write for TrueStart and may be interested in pursuing a career in journalism?
Whew, girl, that is a very full question. What advice would I give? So it depends on what levels of journalism you want to be in. But I always tell people that you can start now. There's no reason why right now you can't start becoming the journalist that you in the future that you want to be. So let me start that over. There's no reason why right now you can't start becoming the journalist that you want to be for your own future. And what I mean by that is there's so many stories every day that could use some digging. Like they could use some more exploration. They could use some more explaining. And I always tell young people, like, you have a phone, you have some of the video, you can now screen grab videos on your phone. And you have iMovie, you have all these different tools right in the palm of your hands. And so there's no reason why instead of posting pictures of your best outfit on Instagram that you're not posting stories that people talk about or digging a little deeper into certain topics and literally recording yourself talking about them. People do it on YouTube all the time and have a hell of a following. So I feel like there is no reason to wait. If you want to go to college, I'm not saying don't go to college. I think going to college is fine. I went twice. I'm not telling you don't go to college, but there's no reason why you have to wait until you graduate to start producing things, to start creating your own shows, to start creating your own content. You're technically a content creator right now. If you use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, you're creating content every day.
Mm-hmm.
So my best advice to young people is to start early, start now. Second thing is to be well versed at many things, because in journalism sometimes today you might cover politics, tomorrow you may cover crime, the next day you might cover statistics, the next day you might cover a religion that you have never heard of in your life. But if you're not well read, if you don't read, you don't occasionally pick up, books and, papers. And I know papers are old school. Everybody wants to read them online. But some things you need to physically have in your hands and read. If you do not do that consistently, you kind of flop as a journalist, or you're kind of one-sided. And you can tell people that they don't stretch beyond where they are. Like they don't read, everything they get is probably from their few sources that they continuously go to, maybe the shade room, no shade to the shade room, but maybe they're going to the shade room and, TMZ, and that's where it stops.
Yeah.
You can tell those people are obvious. You can't hide in a newsroom. So I would tell people to be very, very well versed. Third thing and last thing third thing, not the last thing. Third thing I would say is to make sure that you're humble. No matter what you achieve to, no matter what you become, please stay humble, or please sit down, really, because nobody can stand, at least I can't, an obnoxious, full of themselves, it's all about me person. So if you do achieve all of your goals, if you start knocking them off the list, stay grounded. And the last thing is to always give back. Always remember where you came from. I don't care if you achieve being the best anchor in the whole wide world and people stick a microphone in your face one day and they say where you're from. And if you are from Inglewood, if you are from areas that are deemed not as impressive, because you know how it is being in Chicago, certain people don't want to rep where they're from because it's frowned upon. If you're from North Lawndale, so what? Rep it. That's where you're from. That's what made you who you are. So never forget where you come from. That would be my last thing.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much for having this
Fun.
No, like
so
I love
fun.
You've stayed true to yourself, and I can see it through like every single question, every single answer. Like, just thank you again for supporting TrueStart and connecting young creators. Thank you for talking to me today.